Hey guys. I wanted to give a little life update, and ironically I filmed a life update and never uploaded it. And since that life update in July, August or whatever, I have another update from that. I have not. Alright, so life update 2022. But like let's go back, because the last time I was like active, I was still working at Pizza Hut. So I lived in Mission Viejo with my dad, and I worked at Pizza Hut in, we'll just say, Anaheim. And I was commuting, and then my parents were being like kicked out of their house, or our landlord was like trying to lease it to who would, I don't know. But we had to leave Mission Viejo. Now, I loved Mission Viejo, and I thought I was needed at Pizza Hut because I was told I was needed at Pizza Hut. So I was like, let's make a move. So I found a room for $600 in Garden Grove, Anaheim, 5 minutes from the Pizza Hut. And because I was like, yeah, good money, good job, beloved, like purpose, I went, and I moved away from my dad and my stepmom because they decided to move. God damn it, that's my freaking cat. 1 second. And a big part of why I did decide to move away from my parents was because I was trying to bring my cat back, and they said if I move with him to Fallbrook, and if he pees on anything, he's out, because my sister was so insistent that he pees on stuff when he lived with her in Vegas. And I'm like, maybe he pees on it because he doesn't like her. So I was insistent to go somewhere else and go get my cat back. So I had found this room in Garden Grove for $600 that would take my cat. And they're like, oh, as long as he gets along with the dog. And he did not. He ran away from the dog. He was very, very scared of the dog. So what was the point of living in this place where he was not leaving the room? So he was basically in this like tiny little bedroom. It was smaller than a 10 by 10. It was so small. It made my bed look huge. And now I'm in this big old room, which I'll talk about. And my bed is tiny. I'm like too big for my bed. I want to show you. This is Roro. Okay. Just while we were talking about you. So I moved in with some Asians, and they just had a bunch of quirks. And if you put them all individually, it doesn't sound like that weird, but I swear, put them all together, like they left fruit out to the point of molding. They left out mayonnaise, to which I put it in the fridge for them after it was opened, because that's what you do. And then they literally left it out. They left mayonnaise out. Yeah, molded fruit, molded strawberries. We didn't have a dishwasher, and they had like dirty dishes everywhere, like all the time. Like they would leave out stuff in the dishes, like chicken in the stove, like in the pot on the stove. One time there was a broken bowl of chopped green onion in the kitchen that if you just walked in, like you could have cut your toes, and no one was home. Like no one was around to pick it up or clean it up. I had made tacos, and the dog literally ate my cheese and beef off the counter twice. So one time the dog just ate my the beef, so I went out, got more beef, made it again the next night. Then the dog, Cookie, this was a golden retriever, and the dog had eaten my cheese off the counter and the beef and had thrown up. And like right after that, they asked me to move out, even though I was like, she was eating my food, and they're like, oh, you know dogs, you can't just like leave stuff out on the counter. I'm like, yeah. Also, golden retrievers are some of the best, most well-behaved dogs I've ever seen. Like, I had one, my stepfather, his parents had one, so like I know it's possible to grow up with dog, like to have a golden retriever not eat your food off the counter. Yeah, so it's just really bad. And I was talking to my friend who was a manager at Taco Bell, and he was also having like a lot of heart problems. He was like fainting, his job was stressing him out. He was like, I need a really reliable shift manager. And I was like, I'm beyond the point of like my breaking point at Pizza Hut, and I'm so worried about your health. And also, for a short time, I had dated my best friend's best friend, and I thought we were like meant to be, and we broke up. And I was like, you know, if I move out, because I knew the distance and the location would have torn us apart eventually, so it was already sort of a problem. And I was like, if I move back, or if I move out there, maybe we can reconcile and get back together. Because I was like, I have like had 2 other people that I would have wanted to be with, and one didn't work out. One was dating my sorority sister. More on him in a little bit. And then so this was the last guy for me, or so I had thought. And so I moved out to Lake Elsinore. Moved into a bigger room. Felt really big, like all my furniture fit in it perfectly. But sometime between living at both my mom's and my dad, I had acquired a lot of stuff. So when I moved into the Garden Grove house, I also had a storage unit. So 600 and like 80 for the storage unit went to 100, went to 200. It was getting real pricey. And then my hours had dropped because they promoted a girl I told them not to promote, and she took my hours. So they were like, oh, we need you. And I was like, I cannot have my hours cut. And they did. So again, past the breaking point. So I went to work at Taco Bell for my friend. And when he was there, it was fine. But then he was out. And then he was out for a long time. He had a surgery. And then we had a manager come in, basically take his spot. And then my friend got fired. So I'm like, he's not coming back. What am I still doing here? And they were like, no, we need you. So my hours were cut, not like too noticeably, but enough that my rent had gone up. So it was $6.45, and I was getting to the point where I wasn't making enough in one check for rent. And you know, when you're paid bi-weekly, that's like 2 of your checks, and I had bills. It was getting really bad. And then I was like, what am I doing here? I was a shift manager, and they were just so desperate. So the cool thing was, sidetrack, Pizza Hut and Taco Bell are in the same corporation. So I was like, I'll be in the same corporation. That was like the big perk. He was like, it's the same computer operating system. Cool. Doesn't really mean much. But the only thing that I did know how to do was inventory. But that's it. And again, he had left, and they were edging him out, and they fired him. And I was like, you know what, like my line is here. You fired him, that's my line. So I was going for other jobs, and then I saw Disneyland was hiring, and something I've always wanted to do is work at Disneyland. And I had applied in 2016, and I did not get past the survey, because the survey, you know, they're like, have you ever been late? And I'm like, yeah, sometimes. And it's like, would you ever lie to get a job? Yeah, maybe. I mean, could I tell you exactly what I answered and why I didn't get past the questionnaire? No. But that was 2016. And I had known sorority sisters who worked at Disney, loved it. And I was like, you know what? It's getting too expensive. Because to go from a pass holder to a legacy pass holder, to have it canceled, I was like, I can't afford a pass. And I was like, you know what, I want to go. So let's apply to get a pass back and get back in. and I got it. I got hired to attractions. I got put in Fantasyland. I love it. Like, I love my coworkers and I hang out with them. Like, I did not hang out with any of my Taco Bell coworkers. They were brats and didn't show up half the time. And at Pizza Hut, I still talked to some of them, but no friends, no hanging out. And there is a difference because at Pizza Hut and Taco Bell, I was a shift manager. But, you know, maybe I just needed to take a step down and take like a break from this responsibility for people who don't appreciate it. So I have friends, I have like a ton, everyone loves me. There's just such a great sense of camaraderie that, like, you'll go in and people will literally say welcome to work. Like, someone told me welcome to work today and they were leaving and they're like, I'm leaving, bye. And I was like, thank you. And they always say enjoy your lunch, and we talk, we hang out. I'm like, there's no one who I feel hates me. And if I feel like there's someone who has like it just feels like an energy. It feels like a I'm here to work thing. Like, I don't feel like anyone personally hates me. Also, I work for Disney, but I don't speak for the brand of the company. Disclaimer. So I was doing both for a minute, and I was doing this right at Christmas time, and Disney demanded full availability for training. So my boss at Taco Bell, whose name was Caesar, he was like, hey, I don't think it's right that you're giving them your full availability. And I was like, this is my dream job. And at the time I was being paid just a little bit more at Taco Bell, so I was like keeping it. But then the Disney wages went up, so I was like, now I'm getting paid more at Disney. So I stopped talking to him. I was going to ask to go back at the end of January, but that's when I got COVID. So it was like a really light weekend on Disney hours, and you know, that is the problem. But my probation's almost over. You know, when you beg for the hours, you kind of get them. That's the only struggle I would say I have right now. So at the time, from like starting in December, I was crashing at my mom's a lot, and this is gonna come into play, and just killing myself. And still, I don't even think making more money was like a good difference, because there was a point where I was driving home from Disney and at rush hour and like 5 p.m. traffic, and then I was supposed to go close Taco Bell, and I'm pretty sure I did have to close Taco Bell. That was the problem. Everyone would call out and then I'd be expected to close. But one of my co-managers, she treated me as if I were a cook, and she would scream at me, and she'd be like, go home. And like, I was cleaning the bathroom, and then this girl came in and she was like, oh, so-and-so told you to go because you're not doing anything. I was sitting on the ground like cleaning the toilet, and I was like, I'm literally cleaning the bathroom. She's like, yeah, well, you're not doing anything, so go. And I'm like, you guys don't seem to get that you don't have power over me. You're running the shift, but you don't have power over me. And that was the problem, is like, everyone was hired on to be a shift manager, that the roles were blurred. We were all doing everything for each other, because the only people who would show up were the people who were being paid the manager wage. And even then, those people stopped showing up. So I was like, you know what, I'm not doing this anymore. It was really hard during the holidays, and after I had gotten COVID, I was like, you know what, I'm not going back to Taco Bell, because people actually like me here and people respect me here. And does it suck that I have a college degree and work like the same job as like one of my friends who is in college? Yes, it does a little bit, but this doesn't have to be forever. And you know what, I love it here, and I can move up in the company or I can move up out of the company. But the money was going down, and my rent was gonna go up, and I have my own qualms about where I was living in Lake Elsinore, because if my landlord in Garden Grove was too relaxed, except with me, or like I was too loud, and you know, it doesn't help having the room right next to hers and like really thin walls, but it should just, yeah. If she was too relaxed, this landlord too strict. like borderline crazy. And I was like, you know what? She's being more restrictive than if I lived with my mother. Like, kitchen hours were 8 to 9 or 7 to 9. Laundry was 8 to 8, had to be out by 8, had to be out before 8, even though people broke that rule. A big draw of this was that I could bring my cat, that there were other cats in the house. Cats had to be like locked up though, and if they were let out of the room, had to be on a leash. Now, luckily, my roommates and I had like an understanding that they could just be out and, you know, just watch them if they do something. Hey, my roommates' cats actually low-key hated me. One literally came into my room while I was in the shower, so my door was open, came into the room and was hissing at Zorro, my cat. And I'm like, you came into our room, buddy. So, yeah, there was that. The kitchen hours were just driving me crazy, especially with the hours I was working, like being off at Taco Bell at like 3 a.m. and having no food. I did turn my room into like a nice hangout. I did pimp out the room, but then rent was going up. I was making less. I was spending more time at my mother's, and I was paying storage. So what was I gonna do if I was spending all my time here? Also, when I was doing my training at Disney, I was gone for like days, and I was like, hey, can you guys just check on the cat? Like, he's fine, he's got food, he had all of that. But when I came back, he had like 2 stripes down his back of like fur that he had licked clean off. He was so stressed for me leaving. So I asked my mom, I was like, can I move back in and can I bring Zorro? And she was so against this. She did not want Zorro back here. And I was like, dude, I swear he hasn't peed on any of my stuff. He has, but once, like, I had stopped cleaning his litter box, and then one time my room was so messy, he couldn't get to the litter box. So those were the only 2 times. And I was like, you know what, this is like my dream job, and I'm not making a lot, but I need a plan, and I need to live somewhere with like a reduced rent, so I can just focus, pay my debt until I can get full-time at Disney, which I am aiming for. So begrudgingly, she let us back in, and like the lovely draw is that Zorro can roam freely around this house. He's never been happier. Me and my mom are butting heads like always, but compared to where I was, she doesn't have unreasonable demands, and I would just get like vaguely semi-threatening notices from my landlord, and just like, hey, reminders, and I'm like, and just pushy text, and just like, you're asking a lot. Fine, her place, whatever. Other people want to live like that, yeah. But like 4 of my other roommates moved out, and I was like, you know what, I think they have the right idea, and I think it's time to move on. It was only like 6 months in that place, yeah. But the absolute #1 draw of coming back was I was really lonely. I never wanted to move away from my dad and my stepmom, and that was also a draw of moving to Lake Elsinore, was that it was like an hour in their direction, so it was like only an hour drive to them or such, 45-ish. I haven't seen my dad much since working at Disney, but he's very happy because he'll get to go to Disney. In Garden Grove, I felt so alone that when I did meet that boyfriend and that we were dating, I would spend like as many weekends as I could with him. Yeah, that wasn't good for Zorro either. So that's why I'm like, if I do disappear from here for a little bit to go see the guy who was dating my sorority sister and broke up with her, if I do go see him for a couple of days or a day 2, He's still here. He's still here with family. He's not locked up. He can roam around. He's even with cats that he knows, even if he chooses to terrorize them. He still knows them. My mom and I are butting heads, but we don't think the other is like being unreasonable. And I really missed, well, if I could live with my dad, I would, but he lives like out past San Diego, so this is it. This is really close to Disney. It's like the plan for now. I like where I am. Zora likes where he is. I'm near all the friends that I had left behind. I'm not out by my crazy ex, and I'm not out by my best friend who gave me the job at Taco Bell and gave me a raise too. So all those biatches who were like constantly ripping me a new one, yeah, y'all bet I made more than them. Yeah, so I know I'm crying, but I had a perfect night last night and a really trashy day today. So, but I've been meaning to film this update to my update because I was gonna edit my what I got for Christmas 2021. It didn't seem right without doing one of these, so that's the update. I'm like super happy where I am. Like I said, probation's almost up. I had money in my savings and the bills went through, but you know, saving some, paying down the debt. I should be getting my settlement for my car accident soon, and then just life should be swimmingly. And I have a cheaper storage unit, and I live in the bonus room, so now I can say I've officially lived in almost all of the bedrooms in my mother's house, just not my brother's room and not the master bedroom, of course. So being with my family is honestly, it stops the loneliness. It stops the loneliness so much. So the roommates in Elsinore like kept to themselves entirely, and my roommates in Garden Grove were like way up in your face. My actual roommate was kind, but never like so shy, and they had asked me to move out. My landlord asked me to move out because they were like, oh, we're moving our family in, but they were actually like building a house in the backyard, like a whole house in the backyard. There were like 4 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms and a kitchen area and closet. Yeah, so I was like, oh, did you need to like kick me out to do that? Because they didn't kick out my roommate, but it was time for me to go to Taco Bell and like Elsinore, and honestly that job made me like so much stronger than 2 years at Pizza Hut. But I digress. I'm happy now. Sorry, I didn't mean to start crying. I'm just crying because I'm back with my family, and that's where I should be for now. When I like being alone for a year was like soul crushing. So yeah, that was my update. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, leave a comment down below, subscribe, let me know what you want to see next. I still have my videos from 2017 to now 2022, so, and I will see you guys in my next video.